Yeah, we're gonna talk about the good, Jonathan Taylor, the bad, Chris Ballard, and the ugly, the last 5 seasons on this show. We're gonna chop it up every day, talk Colts football. Hope you guys enjoy it. This is Culture Uncut.
This is Culture Uncut. I'm your host, Jason Spears, and we finally have some news regarding the wide receiver position and some clarity on it going forward in terms of roster and additions that we have made. Finally got a veteran wide receiver in Keenan Allen, which a lot of us have been begging for months, and it's finally done. So that is a good thing. I want to make this clear. I never wanted this signing or looked at this signing as a franchise changing, signing or a season changing signing or anything else. I think a lot of people have the misconception that myself or many other people, think this is some, seismic signing, and it was never about that. It was about having a guy that was productive, knows Steichen's offense, that could come in here and give us some depth at wide receiver. I like our starting 3. I like Doolin, I like Downs, and I like Pierce. I really do. And I like Keenan Allen as a 4, a guy that can kind of come in and out, different position groups. Steichen knows how to use him, knows his skill set. That's what I was always about. It's about having the best roster you can possibly have. And just, to kind of go over Keenan Allen and who he is. He's 6'2", 211, 34 years old, been in the league for a long time, very productive career. His last 2 years, I wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of what he's done. So with Matt Eberflus as his coach and Caleb Williams in his rookie year, he had 70 catches for 744 yards and 7 touchdowns, which is solid. That's 2024. And then last year, 2025, with Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh as his head coach, he had 81 catches for 777 yards and 4 touchdowns. So my argument all along is you just want to add somebody that can give you some level of production when he's on the field. He's a veteran player. He can run all the routes. He can do everything you need to do. No, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but that's not what he does. He's a guy that uses his body and angles to create space for the quarterback to throw to. So I think he's similar to Pittman. I don't think he's as physical as Pittman in that way. I think he's a little different. But I do think he's going to add some variance to this offense and allow Steichen to have more chess pieces, if you will. Like I said, he's not a speed guy. He's not a super deep threat. I see a lot of he's redundant with Downs and redundant with Warren and redundancy means they're all on the same field and running to the same place. That's, I don't think, going to be the case. I think this is going to be a guy that's mixed and matched with this offense, all things considered, with Pierce being healthy. That leads, I will get into that in a second, which I don't even know what to say about that, but we'll get into it in a minute. But solid production, solid vet, good guy to have in the room. He's a hard worker. Again, familiar with Shane, familiar with the style of offense. I think he's going to be a nice addition. I don't think this is, going to put us over the top, but I do think this is going to make us a better team. And that's what this is about. It's about having a better team. Like, you keep adding little pieces to your team that make it a little bit better. Pretty soon you're going to have a good team, right? We still have $24 million under the cap if we need to go out and get a position that we, either lose a guy, knock on wood we don't, but if we need to go out and get somebody, we have the money to do it. And this is obviously a 1-year deal, and it's worth up to $8.3 $2 million. So it means it's incentive laden. And I just think it was the right move. There were a lot of options out there in terms, well, not a lot, because a lot of them were off the board. But before, training camp started, there was more options than they signed. But there's still a couple of good options out there besides Keenan Allen. But I thought he was the best one. In terms of durability, understanding of the offense, productivity, and he's not going to be expected to be the number 1 guy or even the number 2 guy or maybe even the number 3 guy. He's just going to be a rotational wide receiver. It also pushes Akine back. I'm still not sold on him. And then, so the fight for the number 6 spot, the competition, you're going to have to level up, and those guys are going to have to really get on their grind, because there's one less spot available now. There's Treadwell, there's Coleman Owen, there's, Deion Burks, who I really like, but I think he's probably going to be a practice squad guy. And, I just think this was the right move. You've got to have at least some kind of insurance for the elephant in the room, which is Alec Pierce, being injured. And I tweeted out a week or two back that the Colts are not being honest about this injury. I haven't liked this from the start. I don't understand how they sign him to this insane deal. He goes through a physical. They don't notice anything. He doesn't have the surgery right away. Like, all the timeline, it just shows how dysfunctional this athletic staff and this organization is. He should have had this done right after the season, and he would have been ready for training camp. But instead we wait. I don't know the ins and outs of his PT or what he was doing to heal whatever his issue was, but it wasn't working, and it should have been deaded, and he should have had the surgery a lot earlier than he did. Then I got people like Stephen Holder in my mentions telling me how Ballard's being honest and he's handling this right and all that. It's like, dude, you've been here. You know what kind of BS factory the Colts are with injuries. You know how they are. But he's in my mentions telling me, like, Ballard's honest, and he said 1 to 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. He'll be ready for game 1. This dude is still not practicing. So is the plan to just, and I wasn't concerned. Now I'm really starting to get concerned. Because we're 3 weeks away, and he has done nothing. So is our plan just to have him practice on a Wednesday or a Friday and then just throw his ass out there on Sunday? Because I don't think that's a very good plan, if you want to know the truth. I would rather have somebody that has the reps with the quarterback this summer out there than just throwing Pierce out there to have him run routes. I love Pierce, and I think he's going to have I thought he was going to have a big year before this injury. I don't know what's going to happen now. Who friggin' knows? You know how the Colts luck is. But I would rather have him be 100%, get a full week of practice. But it doesn't seem to be going that way. We're not getting a lot of positive updates other than lip service. Nothing specific, and this is how they are with everything. They're just so, it's like cloak and dagger bullshit. You have to decipher what's true, what's not true. And at this point, after all these years of Ballard and the way they handle things with this regime, I assume the worst. I know a lot of Colts fans, Midwestern people, are super positive, and I get it. I would almost rather be that way, but I'm an East Coast guy, and I'm cynical by nature. And when I see the same thing happen over and over again, I stop believing that it's going to happen. Oh, this is going to be the injury that heals on time. I'm not convinced. I am not convinced he's going to be ready for week 1. And by ready, I mean have a full week of practice and ready to play. I don't count just no practice throwing his ass out there as being ready to play. I mean, that's stupid. So I'm very frustrated with, okay, I'll give Ballard credit for getting Keenan Allen in here. I don't know what the logistics of that was. Maybe he didn't want to sign until midway through training camp, although I don't know why that would be. I think you would want as much time with your quarterback as possible. So a lot of people were saying, oh, he didn't want to sign until training camp was over and all this other shit. It doesn't really make sense to me because, I mean, we give vets mad days off. Steichen is very fair to his veteran players. He doesn't run them into the ground, so I don't think that's what it was. I literally think Ballard thought that, at least this is the only thing that makes sense, that, you know, Pierce would be back by now. He's not, so he went out and got Allen. I think that's what happened. And now, who knows with Pierce? It's not a good, like, even if he's, is this something that's going to linger all year? Like, it's such a shitty way to start off this mega contract. I thought when I was raving about him and saying he's going to have this huge year, which I believe that he would have, it's when I thought he was healthy. Like, knowing that did he hide the injury? Like, how did they, there's just so much cloak and dagger, man. I hate it all. Because I don't know how, when they did the physical, when he signed that deal, like, how they wouldn't know. And then if he wasn't injured at that point and he injured himself doing something else, wouldn't that void the contract? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know why he waited. You know, it's just very frustrating as a Colts fan, because I feel like Steichen's doing everything in his power to have this team 100% going into training camp. Going into the regular season. And, you know, the only person really that didn't come into camp healthy was Pierce. And it's literally the highest paid guy on your roster, I guess, outside of Jones. And he's coming off an Achilles and he's already ready to play. So a lot of frustration, as you know, and people are going to say I'm whining or whatever. I'm just frustrated, man. I'm sick of losing. I'm concerned about Pierce. Because you need your feet and ankles to be 100% for you to be what you are as a receiver. And the fact that he's just, all I've seen him do is do like one half-ass drill. That's it. And then other than that, he's just standing around signing autographs. So, if you feel good about him, more power to you. I'm more of a, I'll believe it when I see it kind of person. So I'll believe it when I see it. I think it's much different than what they are saying. But that's just my opinion. You're entitled to your own. So, but I am happy that he finally got Keenan Allen in here. Again, I don't think this is a fix-it move. I don't think suddenly we're the Super Bowl contenders or even I don't think it changes our roster too much, but I do think it makes us a better team because we added another proven productive receiver to our room to kind of take the pressure off of Akine, that he doesn't have to pick up all the slack for Pitt or Doolin. It can be by committee. It can be three guys that are picking up the slack for Pitt, right? So that to me makes our team better. And it's only for 1 year. It's $8 million. We can address the wide receiver situation in the offseason going forward, hopefully with a new GM. And, you know, I think, and I think he should be willing to look at our roster honestly. And if we need more at a certain position group, I think he should be willing to go do it. I'm not saying you got to spend all the $24 million because you've still got to re-sign, in my opinion. Quentin's got to get done, and then Downs is, another guy that I'd like to keep. So, you don't have to spend all the money, but you can certainly sign some veterans for 1-year deals and positions of need. So, I don't know what those positions would be yet. I'm starting to get concerned about Mooney because of it's his back. It's only injuries that are serious, like head injuries, back injuries, neck injuries. Those are all like super concerning to me. So I don't know what's out there cornerback wise, but I do not want Cam Taylor-Britt starting. I would rather have him as a 4, but I don't know what's out there as far as corners go. And I'm very concerned about Mooney. I know CJ is back, but I'm concerned with the lack of reps with him. Hopefully he can get all those back and be ready to play come week 1. But my 2 concerns right now, major concerns, are because they're such good players and such a big part of what we do, are definitely Mooney and definitely Pierce. So moving forward, those are the 2 situations to watch. I don't think Keenan Allen will have any problem getting in here, getting set up and up to date with the offense and kind of get in the playbook, know everything. I think it'll be a seamless transition for him. I'm sure it'll take him a couple of days or whatever, but I actually trust Shane when it comes to this stuff because he knows his offense, and I think Keenan knows his offense as well, and I just think he knows. I think that's probably why he signed here. I'm sure he had other options, but knowing what kind of offense that Steichen runs and the way he can game plan receivers open and scheme receivers open, I think he's going to have a solid year for the Colts. So, I'm hesitant to give Ballard a lot of credit, but I will give him credit for this, for going out and getting Keenan Allen, because I did not think he would do it. I thought we were going to keep seeing, the likes of Chase Claypool and Traquan Smith and Equanimeous St. Brown, those type of guys brought in here, and I just, that was not enough. Those guys are not productive, haven't played or whatever, and you needed to get somebody in here that has played, knows the offense, and is still productive, and he did that. So I will give him credit for that. So that's where I'm at as far as the move. I liked it. Of course I liked it. I've been begging for it for months. I still think maybe corner is a spot you look at. But I don't, the problem with me right now is I'm not really locked into what's going on over there. I haven't really talked to anybody. So I don't know how significant this Mooney injury is, other than it's his back. Significant enough not to travel to New England, which I guess isn't really that significant because you don't want him on a plane or whatever and let it stiffen up. But to me, that's those are 2 big question marks. And if he doesn't think Mooney's going to be able to play, you got to see what's out there. I don't know what's available, like I said, but you gotta add some depth, because Jonathan Edwards did not look good at all, and I expect him to be on the roster specifically only because he's a good special teams gunner, so he'll be like the last corner or whatever. Mekhi Blackman, again, I kind of expect to be on the roster. Just because he's a versatile corner. He can play inside or out. Not super great at either one, but versatile enough, and he can play special teams as well. So, it's a concern for sure. And then I guess Cam Taylor-Britt, they're all playing special teams. So, I really was excited about, what was his name? Cam, now I can't remember his name. They put him on IR, but, when you get old, your memory goes and you start forgetting players' names, like I did with the Oregon State receiver. And that's frustrating. I know his number and his first name, but I can never think of his last name, and it's very frustrating. I don't know why I'm rambling about stuff, but anyway, so that's where I'm at with that. Hopefully Pierce and Mooney will get back soon and get plenty of reps before the live game, the important stuff starts, because that's all that matters to me. Winning and making the playoffs. I'm so sick and tired of this team being mid. So, with that being said, I am going to answer some questions from one guy. He asked a bunch of questions, and I'm gonna, I didn't see them till after I had recorded last time. So, like I said before, earlier in the show, I wanted to do this because if anybody asks me a question, I want to try to answer it. So, his first question is: does Rob Carter Jr. have a shot at backup nickel cornerback? It kind of depends on the injuries. he played really well. I think he's definitely somebody that is going to be on the practice squad for sure. But I mean, if Mooney's healthy, you've got Mooney and you've got, obviously Sauce and Wally. That's 3. And then you have Britt, who is the backup nickel corner right now. And he can play both outside and inside. And I've heard he's looked okay at camp, so that's a good sign. And then you've got Mackay, then you've got, Blackman, and then you've got, Edwards. So I would say probably practice squad for him, if I had to guess, barring injury. Now, if somebody gets injured, it's probably him or Jalen Jones, I would say, although Jalen Jones isn't a nickel. So I would say he has a better chance. I'm not even going to say this because I don't want to put it in existence, but if somebody on this roster that plays nickel that's ahead of him gets injured, then yes, he would probably have a shot to make it. So, why didn't Ballard just re-sign Danny Penner, who would not have cost much? Do we claim someone at backup center and OT? Freeland sucks too. It's a great question. I think Penner wanted to sign with the Ravens because they are giving him a shot to start, and we all know that and that's what Penner wanted. He just wanted an opportunity to start. He's not in the same class as Bortolini. Bortolini is already probably, in my opinion, a top 5 center, and he's only going to get better. So he's never going to start at center here. So, he wanted to go to a team there. He was going to get an opportunity to start, and I'm kind of friends with the guy that hosts Locked On Ravens. He's also, because I'm a big Orioles fan, and he hosts an Orioles podcast as well, and I've talked to him, and he said Penner has been solid for them. He's competing to start there, so he's obviously going to take a deal where he's got a chance to start over a place where he knows he's going to be a backup, because there was no way he was going to play here. So, answered that first part. So, I don't think it had anything to do with the money so much as it had to do with he wanted a chance to start. Do we claim someone at backup center and offensive tackle? I think Tenuda's fine as a swing tackle, but he's hurt currently. So you're always looking to upgrade your offensive line depth. I would say Farmer is obviously your 6th offensive lineman. He's locked in. And I think Tenuta is, and I think if he's healthy, and then obviously, what is his name? The backup guard, Dalton Tucker. Sorry. I'm really sorry about the forgetting names, guys. I don't know what's going on in my memory, but, I think those are the 3 guys, but I do think they will certainly look around to either add another tackle or a center. I would look for a backup center. I think you can maneuver some of that stuff around. Like if, say, a tackle went down, you could move Gonzalez to tackle and slide Farmer in at right guard. I think that that kind of stuff is workable, but I'm very concerned about backup center because Morrissey, if that's who was playing, and I still don't, somebody told me it was him. I never really got focused on who was snapping the ball, but if that was him, he's not the guy. And if that was, and I don't know, man, Tucker doing it, I don't know. I think he's just better at guard. But he's got whoever is snapping the ball as a backup center has to be able to actually snap the ball to the quarterback. Like, so he doesn't have to catch it high, go to the side, just be able to snap the ball consistently to the quarterback. So to answer your question, I definitely think they're going to look at adding to the O-line, probably one or the other, like either a center or a tackle. I definitely think that will happen at cut down day for sure. I gotta speed these up. I'm giving like 10-minute answers to these questions. Caden Curry and George Gums flashed in New England. Will either of them break through the Ballard drafting edge curse? That's a great question. I really like Curry, because of his motor. I think Gums has more athletic talent than Curry does, but Curry has always been productive, and he plays. He's the type of guy, like if you were to model yourself if I had a kid and I was like, I want you to watch how this guy plays, it'd be him, because he does the things I always talk about. You might not have as much talent, you might not have as much speed, you might not have as much athletic ability, but the one thing you can always have as much of is effort. And Caden Curry is a poster child for that. He plays hard all the time. He doesn't take plays off. So I think he's got a shot, man. I like him a lot. I like his demeanor. I like he really cares. He wants to be good. He wants to be a good player. He wants to be, and I know it sounds stupid to say that, but he's clearly the type of guy that, gives everything he has on every play. He empties the tank. And I definitely think he's going to be a part of the rotation this year. How much, we'll see, but he just needs to keep stacking good practices, good games, preseason or not. And I think he's going to be in the rotation. I already like what I've seen out of him more than what I've seen out of JTT, if I'm being 100% honest. He did more in one game than I've seen out of JTT in 2 years, or a year and whatever, a year in a training camp. As far as George Gums goes, really impressed with him as well. Like, I did not like that pick. I thought it was, he's super raw. So I guess I'm not really answering. I do think Caden Curry's going to be a good player. I do. I don't think he's going to be an elite edge rusher, but I do think he's going to be somebody that you're not going to look at and be like, oh my God, he bombed on him. And Gums was like neither one of them were high round picks, so it won't be as bad if they don't. The ones that really suck are the early one, like the Ben Banigous, the guys that we've just, Terrell Basham, Kamoko, who I actually thought Kamoko had a chance to be good until they screwed up his surgery, but that's a whole nother story. And then Taekwon. But to answer your question, I do think Caden's going to be a good player. Gums, I think it's going to take a little longer. I'm going to need to see more out of him because athletic ability alone is not enough. I think he's got to learn the nuance of the position a little more. I think Curry's further ahead in that way. And they just have to work with him. The D-line coaches have to work with him. And, I think there's something there in Gums. I really do. I was very hard on the pick. I did not like it. Because I just thought he was too raw and unproductive at Florida. But look, man, he looks good so far. He looks better than I thought he would look. I thought he would look overmatched, and he certainly didn't look overmatched. So I would say I like both of the picks. I think they've got either one or both have a chance to be guys you look at and say, those were good draft picks. And with Ballard, that's a huge compliment considering the record of edge drafting. So very bullish on both of those guys. I do like Curry more for as far as immediate impact this year, but I think Gums, man, he definitely has higher upside because of the athletic traits that Curry simply doesn't have. So we'll see, but I like what I've seen, and I think this could, they one or the other could definitely be, or both, you never know, could definitely have an impact going forward. We know Ballard will not sign Keenan Allen over a washed guy like Josh Reynolds, but why has nobody signed him? So I probably shouldn't even ask this because it makes you look bad, but I don't blame you for asking this question at the time because I didn't think he was going to sign him either. And so don't feel bad. None of us did. No one that follows Ballard actually thought he was going to do this. We thought it would be some guy either you've never heard of, or a guy that hasn't played in 3 years, or a guy that had a name 3 years ago but hasn't been productive since since 2019. So we all just have to give him credit for signing Keenan Allen. I sincerely think he was waiting. I think he was waiting for the Chargers to ask him back. I think he really wanted to stay with the Chargers. But I think the reason why nobody signed him, I think Keenan Allen was just being picky about where he wanted to go. And I'm not really sure Ballard really tried to sign him until now because, I mean, and I don't know that for a fact. Like I said, I had a guy, I used to do the insider thing. I don't do it so much anymore, so I don't really know, but, maybe I could figure that out. But I'm sure Keenan Allen will talk about what happened when he comes here and whatever. But I just think maybe he wanted to wait to see if LA was going to sign him, and then Ballard reached out, offered him the deal, and because he knows Shane, maybe Shane reached out to him. Maybe that was because I mean, Shane knows him. Shane had him. He was very productive. I think he had, in Shane's last year as an OC with him, I think he had 100 catches. I thought I wrote it down. But I guess I didn't write it down. Did I? 100 catches, 8 touchdowns under Steichen in 2020. I did write it down. So I think that had something to do with it. And in just playing time, they probably told him like the situation with the third wide receiver spot, even if Pierce is healthy, you're still going to want a rotation of different guys. And so I just think it was a combination of him only wanting to go to certain places and certain offenses with guys that he trusts, because you have to remember, this is the back end of his career. He wants to be a part of something where he can be a part of something. He doesn't just want to go sit on the bench somewhere. He wants to actually get some playing time. And most winning teams that are like elite level, Super Bowl contenders, they already have a good wide receiver room, and he wouldn't play. Because he's 35 years old. So I think he wanted to weigh his options, and he weighed them. And I think Ballard reached out, said, "Hey, we need you," and offered him the incentive-laden $8 million one-year deal. And he said, "You know what? I'm doing it." So I think that's what happened. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. Like I said, his production's been fine the last 2 years, over 700 yards both years, 4 touchdowns one year, 7 touchdowns the other year, and 70 catches one year and 81 catches last year. So he can still get open and he can still catch the football. And that's really all you need, chain movers. Just got to get first downs. That's all we got to do. So, so I hope that answers that. Your next question. Will Mallory had similar stats as Pittman? Is he a depth? Combine stats, sorry. Similar combine stats as Pittman. Is he a depth option at wide receiver? Balled out in New England. He's been balling out all training camp, and I think they will split him out some probably in the slot. I don't know about outside, but I think they'll use him in the slot a little bit. I think you're going to see a lot of different, personnel groupings with Shane. He's got a lot of guys to work with here. It's going to be, especially with the wide receiver 3 spot being kind of open, you can do a lot of different things. You could play downs outside, play Mallory in the slot. You can do all kinds of stuff. He could play, I don't know if he could play wide receiver, all the time. I think you're going to see him used in tight end groupings and stuff like that, special, packages and whatnot, because he's proven he can be a difference maker and a good player. But yeah, I don't think you're going to see him at wide receiver, most of the time. I think he's going to be at tight end, but I do think you're going to see him split out in the, or maybe like the motion guy, slot. I think, there's a lot of things he can do. His speed is what I like about him. He's got, pretty high level speed for a tight end. And I think you can do a lot with that. I think you could probably run screens with him. You certainly can do a lot of stuff with him. And he's got good hands, and he is dependable. Every time he's gotten a chance to play, I think he's done a good job. Certainly, absolutely locked down a spot on this roster. I really like this team's tight ends. They all do things very, very well, at different things. Like you've got, Warren, who's like probably a top 10 tight end that can do everything, block and catch. You got Mallory, who's like a speed, route running receiver kind of guy, not much of a blocker. Then you've got Mo, who is an elite blocker and occasionally can make some incredible plays, as a receiver. And then you've got, then you've got Ogletree, who's a really good blocker too, like a top tier blocker as well. So you've got 4 really good tight ends and really like top level at what they do. Like Mallory really just has to prove it in the regular season, but Tyler Warren's a top 10 tight end. I would say Mo and Ogletree are top 10 blocking tight ends. If you put out a top 10 blocking tight end list, I think they'd both be on it. They're both very, very good at blocking. So I like their tight end room. I think it's the best it's been. It's, because it's a year more of Warren, and then, Mo and Ogletree have really settled in when Mo doesn't have to be a 1, Ogletree doesn't have to be a 2. They can be 2 and 3 or whatever. And then Mallory, I just think that it's a really good wide receiver room, and I'm excited about it, to be honest with you, because I think there's a lot of different things you can do. For the Colts to surprise, win the division, what must happen? Okay, so, I didn't read these questions beforehand, but 1, obviously, Daniel Jones, 1 has to stay healthy all year. At most, he can miss a game, maybe 2. But he's got to play well all year. He's got to play as well as he played last year all year. So the 102 rating or whatever it is, got to do that again. He's never played that well 2 years in a row, and he's never stayed healthy an entire season that I know of. Maybe there's one season that he did, but never 2 years in a row, and he didn't last year. So number 1, obviously, is DJ has to stay healthy and play as good as he did last year. Number 2, all of our important players have to play like they're, elite, like they are. Sauce has to be elite. Mooney has to be healthy. They have to be healthy and elite. So we can't be losing, like Mooney's already hurt. We can't lose him because then it's a house of cards. So a lot of it's injury related. So we're going to have to stay really healthy. Like we cannot lose Jonathan Taylor. We lose him, we're in trouble. DJ, we lose him, we're in trouble. Sauce, we lose him, we're in trouble. You go down the list, there's a lot of guys this team cannot lose. So the health has to be better than it's been in years. And that's a lot of luck involved, pardon the pun. And then obviously on the field, the pass rush has to be much better than it's been in recent years. It has to be consistent. It's not about sacks, right? It's about pressure. It's about getting the ball out of the guy's hands. And if our corners are playing as well as they can play, it gives the guys a little longer to get there. But you would love to see, them be able to get pressure with 4 consistently. And I think that changes everything. If that happens, you get more turnovers, more opportunity for turnovers, puts the ball in the offense's hands more often. It gets you more opportunities to score. So I think all of those, if you had to give me a list of those would be the 3 things. I think DJ being healthy and playing as well as he did last year, the team overall not losing any like elite players for long periods of time. And then obviously the pass rush. I think if those things happen, if those 3 things happen, I think we have a shot. The biggest issue to this team winning the division, as far as I'm concerned, is the Texans have put together what I think could be one of the best defenses in the 2000s. It's unbelievable. They got 2 lead edge rushers. Now they've got guys in the middle. Their secondary's elite. The weakest part of their defense would be a strength for most people, and that's their linebackers. So I don't know how people are going to score on them. But that's the team, like they're the best, like to me, they're the best team in the division. It's not really close, in my opinion. It all comes down to, how bad CJ plays, CJ Stroud plays, and he's always cooked us. So he's got to be bad. I think the only chance we have of winning the division is if he's really bad, or at least just bad. But as far as our upside, it all rides with health and Daniel Jones and pass rush. I mean, it's as simple as I can make it. If all those things happen, this is a playoff team. Like if he plays well, all that stuff I mentioned, it's a playoff team. They'll win 10 games. Easy. I don't know if it'll be enough to beat Houston because I think Houston, I think they could be an AFC representative in the Super Bowl because essentially you just need a game manager to not turn the ball over and let that defense just cook. But I don't know if CJ Stroud's capable of managing a game. He certainly couldn't do it in New England last year. I don't know. I think he had like 6 or 7 turnovers. You just can't do that and win games. But yeah, man, there's a path to anything. And it doesn't take a lot for it to happen. Because there's proof outside of the pass rush, there's proof of concept. If your best players stay healthy, and they have in the past, when they have, we've gone to the playoffs, right? When they haven't, we've had trouble. When DJ played well, we were 7-1, 8-2. When he got hurt, we didn't win another game. So there's proof of concept with that. And we were a top AFC team when he was healthy playing good football. The only thing we don't have proof of concept is we've never seen this team under this regime have a consistent pass rush that caused problems for other teams. Anything that we've done has been created through stunts or blitz packages that were put in by Lou. And those can work too, but at some point that's going to get you burnt against a good team because when you bring an extra guy, that's one extra guy you don't have defending the pass. So if you don't get there, you can see some bad things happen. That's why it's most important to be able to get pressure with 4, right? So that's what I'm hoping happens. I'm not super pumped about our edge room, but I know Lou's a good coach. I know the guy that he brought in as a D-line coach has worked with him in Cincinnati is a good coach. So certainly better than what we've had, in my opinion. So I think that, anything's possible as far as that goes. But even if we don't get the elite pass rush or consistent pass rush, I do think you're going to see Lou do a lot of different things because when you have corners that can defend man, it makes everything a lot more black and white in terms of what you can do because you have a guy on one side or maybe both sides. I mean, and if Wally's as good as everybody says, I don't know where you're going to throw, but when you have coverage like that, it allows you to, disguise stuff and bring heat from different places. And I'm sure Lou has definitely got some things dialed up. He's really got a great mind for putting together game plans. So even if our pass rush isn't elite, I think we can make do with one that's just average or above average, but you would want this team to have the best pass rush it can have. So I hope I answered that question. I think that, obviously Houston's going to have to struggle a little bit. I would say offensively, they're going to have to struggle big time for us to win the division. I think that's what's going to have to happen. I think we can beat Jacksonville. Definitely not there. We could go in there with an all-pro team, and they could have a high school team, and we wouldn't win there. But I do think that we can beat Jacksonville at home, and I do think we have a equally talented team as them. I don't think they're head and shoulders better than us. I do think Houston's defense is the X factor in the division because it's so good. This season likely ends like we expect. If you ran the Colts, who is your next GM and head coach? Oh man, again, another question that I should have went to and read beforehand. I would say somebody from the Seattle program or the Rams program that is forward thinking, especially the Rams, the way they manipulate the cap and are able to continuously just keep signing great players. But yeah, somebody from either one of those places. As far as head coach, that's hard to say because you don't know who's going to be available. There's a chance Kevin O'Connell gets fired if he has a bad year. I'm a big fan of his. But I'm sure the coach would probably have ties to the GM, so it probably wouldn't be O'Connell. It would be somebody probably in the McVay tree, I would say, or somebody in the McDonald tree, if it's somebody from Seattle. So I'm not really sure. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer. I can give you a general idea of who I think would be, because I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. I mean, and I don't really have a person that I want. Because I don't really know who's going to be available. I like Mike Tomlin, but I don't think he'd be a great fit here. I still think he's an absolutely great coach. I think he needed a year off. I think he will go somewhere and be successful. If he wants to. I don't know if he's absolutely retired for sure. I'm in the minority. I love Mike Tomlin. I think he's a great coach, but I don't think he'd be a fit here. I think we would be looking for probably an offensive minded head coach. So probably somebody in one of those trees that I just mentioned. Those would be, because I want somebody from a winning program that, like, in the front office that's forward thinking, and that's why the Rams would probably be where I would go. Because the way they use the cap and are able to get around it and sign so many good players and keep them, and I would love to do that here. But, as the season goes on and we see what's going on, I'll probably have a better answer for you. I really think what's going to end up happening is I think Ballard's going to be he's going to walk out the door, and either Dodds will get the job or somebody that was with Steichen in another place will get the GM job. I think, because I do not think Shane is going to get fired unless and nor should he, because honestly, I think he's done a pretty good job. I don't think he's a great head coach, but I think he's done a lot of really good things. If you would have told me that they were going to be down to the last game with Gardner Minshew as their quarterback to win a division, I would have said you're crazy, but he pulled that off, and he's done some good things. I think those get overlooked because of the frustration of losing. So I do think Shane will be back, barring like us going 4-13 or 5-12. And so what I think they'll end up doing is pairing a GM with Shane, because I don't know, man. I don't know. The daughters haven't really raved about Shane, so I could be wrong, but he's got more years on his deal. I just don't think they let him walk out the door. He's too good of a play caller. He's done so many great things with the offense, and just, he's had some shit luck. He's made some poor choices. But I don't think he's really the problem. I think the problem is because we've had so many coaches here during Ballard's tenure. I mean, he's had Pagano, he had Reich, actually McDaniels, then Reich, then Saturday, and then Shane. So he's had 5 coaches in his tenure, and I think the common denominator is not that all these guys are horrible coaches. It's that Chris Ballard's a bad GM. I think that's as simple as I can make it, because I know Steichen isn't a bad coach. And Frank in the beginning I liked, but he kind of just seemed way too inflexible. That's another thing. I want a coach in here that's like super willing to listen to ideas and not so set in his ways that he won't listen to anyone else. I think that's a horrible way to be a head coach, because you've got to be able to acknowledge, like, you're not a perfect, coach, that other people have good ideas. And I think it lends itself to a more a cohesive working environment when you have you show that you're flexible in your ideas and willing to make changes that can help the team win. I think Steichen is that way. I really do. I think Frank was that way when Sirianni was here. But once Sirianni left, I think he was like his road or the highway kind of thing. and it all kind of fell apart when Sirianni left. So, and Sirianni, from what I was told back then, was a big part of what we did on offense when he was here, and that's a big reason why he got the job in Philly, was because he was the architect of some of those offenses that were so good, more than Reich was. So yeah, I just talked for like forever about that question that I could have probably answered in 2 seconds, but I try to give you guys an idea of my thought process and what I'm thinking. So anyway, that'll do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I will be back Saturday after the game to do a post game. Until then, I hope everybody has a great week. I might be back if something breaks or if there's any news going forward. Whatever there's something to talk about, I'll be back. So with that being said, have a great rest of the week. Appreciate you guys listening. This has been Culture Uncut with your host, Jason Spears.